I'm Jim Collison, and this is the CliftonStrengths Podcast, Season 3, recorded on February 26th, 2024. In this CliftonStrengths podcast series, we'll look at how to feel more energized and motivated at work, one theme at a time, and today's theme is Relator. If you're listening live, you can join us in chat, or if you're listening after the fact, maybe on the podcast or on YouTube, you can send us your questions, coaching@gallup.com. Dr. Jaclynn Robinson is our host today. She works as a senior learning and development consultant and has joined me for season 1 and 2 of the CliftonStrengths podcast. Season 1, we looked at well-being at work through the book, which she was a major contributor. I could say that, right? Major contributor to, and part of our season 2 CliftonStrengths role-based reports. Jaclynn, always great to be with you. Welcome back.
Thank you. Happy Monday.
You wrote most of the appendix of the Well-Being at Work book, didn't you?
The strings mapping piece.
Yeah. In the back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Appendix 2, I think.
Yeah,
off the top of my head.
Lots of stuff. Yeah. I don't want people
during
to
the
forget
pandemic, which was nice.
Yeah.
When you just want something to do that's creative during the pandemic. Put me in. Let's
Early
do
days of it as well. Well, we're this season, not to digress, but this season we're talking about bringing energy to work with your themes. And today we're talking about Relator. Let's talk about the individual first. What are some ways an individual with Relator can feel more energized by focusing on their basic needs?
All right. Well, basic needs, knowing what's expected at work, having the resources to do it. What's better than feeling more energized by getting to know your fellow colleagues that you're going to be working with? It's more energizing. It's more comforting when you've got a friend or two on the team that you can work on with these key tasks together, or at least get support with materials or resources as those barriers arise. So starting to inquire about work and communication style or what individual strengths are, those can all be really good starting points for building a relationship with your team members, particularly, those that might be newer to you or less familiar to you.
Well, you have Relator 5. What do you need for your Relator? How does that play out? Like from a basic needs standpoint, how does it play out for you?
I love working with, I've got a close group of partners that I work with a lot on different projects or client accounts, and that's fun. We gravitate to each other and we just continue to work together time and time again. So for me, it's once you've got that relationship built, how do we continue to build on it and find more work to do together? That's big. Otherwise, if it's new, then we'll even set up a call just to have a little bit of a meet and greet first. Get to know each other better.
I am known for my woo, right? I talk about it all the time. I say it's my favorite thing. But we were talking in the pre-show, and I actually think Relator for me is more important for look what you and I are doing here. And, I have these podcasting relationships with, Micah before you, Dean Jones, Mike McDonald. We have these relationships.
Heart to them all.
They're super important to me.
Amazing.
Not that I don't love recording these, but the 30 minutes we get ahead of you and I on this together, way more valuable. We don't talk about the show. We talk about what's going on in our lives. Yeah. And so I think from a basic needs standpoint, even with Relator being as far down as 9 for me, I think it's really, really important that I get those times. As you were talking about what you needed, I agree. I love sharing the work with somebody and just being on a call, even if we're not talking, we're there or next to each other in a conference room, right? One-on-one.
Yes.
Building those deep relationships and knowing.
It's the greatest.
How can in what ways can an individual with a Relator feel more energized by focusing on their individual strengths and development?
I think opportunities to mentor or learn from your fellow colleagues / friends, I'll say, because you like having friends in the workplace. Typically, if you've got Relator high, and those opportunities to mentor or learn from one another can be really fruitful. So scheduling one-on-one calls with your team members, especially if the workplace might not be naturally conducive to a team meeting or a team retreat, those one-on-ones that you are Scheduling can be helpful just so you and your team member can share knowledge or best practices or just catch up on day-to-day life or even mentor one another. You kind of mentioned what we do, Jim, is, we schedule 30 minutes before this to catch up with each other. So it's looking for those opportunities if you've got Relator High.
Yeah.
And you can use that as a developmental opportunity too, to say, hey, do you have this resource that I'm looking for? Or how did you cover this particular work task? You can learn from one another, especially your trusted confidants.
And I think relationship building this way with Relator,
Mm-hmm.
it is an intentional, you got to intentionally get after it. I guard those 30 minutes. Like, I guard it,
Mm-hmm.
because it would be easy to start saying, well, there's other things we could be doing. But if I'm going to be doing this with you, I need that time. It
Uh-huh.
actually makes me better. Like, I get to know
Yes.
you. We're better this way. I mean, if you go back to season 1 of the Clifton Strengths podcast, it's good stuff. But do we know each other as well back then? No. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's the hours that we've spent, and I guard it. I think we need to be intentional about it. I think that's one of those areas
Yeah.
from a development standpoint. You've got it. It just has to happen. You can't fake it. You can't, like, oh, instant friendship or instant relator. No, you
Yes.
gotta put the time in, right? Let me ask you this question: what are some ways an individual with relator can feel more energized by building partnerships and finding purpose? I've answered my end of the question for you, but what would you say in that case as well?
Yeah, by discovering common interests with your team or team members, you can begin to connect over shared hobbies or work tasks to facilitate and just deepen your connections. Then consider each other's strengths and weaknesses when you are starting to split the teamwork. With that rapport already established, you're already going to be more inclined to share and value each other's thoughts and opinions on work assignments because you have put in the work and the effort of getting to know each other. So there's more understanding and appreciation to say, I'd prefer to do this because this is where my strength is going to lie. And you go, oh, okay, this isn't an excuse. This is who the person is. And I've gotten to know them over time and know how this helps them in their growth or um, will help, deliver excellence in the work itself.
Hmm. Let's make a shift to the manager. How can a manager with relators support others with their basic needs?
hmm Using your strength to share your own personal experiences and insights related to meeting those expectations. That can create a sense of relatability and trust. And then you can open up the room to hear from other folks. What questions or concerns or insights do you have related to this key expectation? What resources do you need? So, that level of relatability that you have and the openness that you invite in will allow them to share out more as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I think the essence, the me to we in relator is helping others know more about other individuals. Like,
hmm
because we have a relationship, I know you. When I'm talking to someone else about you, I can give clues to you that speeds up the process of their relationship to you, right? I mean, I think that's the
hmm
the power of that in knowing. And again, there's no cheat sheet on this. As a manager, I think you've got to know. You have to know them. You've got to create some ways that give you, that give you the ability to know them by asking some great questions,
Yeah.
by doing some things. We don't all do that naturally, even with Relator. How do you feel about writing things down about folks, like birthdays and anniversaries and those key events in their life, and keeping track? What do you think about that?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
That's a good question because we often associate that sometimes with input, but relators, given the investment they put into family, friends, or colleagues in your trusted circle of friends,
Yeah.
family, and colleagues, I think there is for at least some, maybe it's not all, that ability to recall key events in an individual's life because of the investment that you've
Yeah.
put in it.
Yeah.
I know I remember all my family comes to me for birthdays, the age of nieces or nephews or parents or aunts, uncles, addresses, because they know that I've got it either written down or I have it top of mind.
Yeah.
So I've been that person, and I definitely see it come through with the relator.
Yeah.
recalling the strengths of family members. They go, how do you remember what our talent themes are? It's like, well,
So terrible
just
at that.
invested in it.
So terrible at that.
Invested in you.
It is a letdown for me. I
Uh,
let myself down sometimes. Like, why can't I remember those? I need better systems for those kinds of things. In the moment, there's no one better than me, one on one in the moment.
uh-huh.
I am there. I am fully there. You have my
Locked in.
full attention. If we're doing this, I'm in it. I'm in emotionally. I'm there. But remembering those kinds of things has been a challenge
Hmm.
for me. How and we might have alluded to it a little bit, but how can a manager with Relator help others feel seen, heard, and valued as an individual?
Yeah. Well, your genuine nature, because that's so important. That's almost a value of someone high in relators to be genuine and authentic. So that comes through, and your desire to get to know team members comes through. Um, you want them to feel cared about. You want to invest in them. So you tend to ask about their goals and their aspirations. What challenges are they experiencing? What are their personal and professional interests? And so that level of focus, even Jim, you just mentioned it, the level of focus and intentionality you have behind individuals and getting to know them is apparent oftentimes. And that helps somebody feel seen, heard, and valued when you're actively listening. And then even in future conversations, you're pulling that commentary back in.
Yeah. What about in that area where we ask this question a lot? How can a manager with Relator build trust, inspire, and deepen team collaboration with the community? Talk some more about that because I think those two really go together here.
Hmm. I think being able to work collaboratively to set quality related goals as a team. Ensure those goals align with their individual strengths and interests and help them see how their contributions impact the mission or the purpose. Um, and then again, because you're creating that safe space and it's a genuine space, people can ask questions, they can. Um, they'll probably have a better understanding and appreciation of one another because you want to invest in people. So the we as a manager might be, I want our team to get to know each other more deeply as well. That sense of community and the bonds are already there. So it's going to make it even more feasible to say, what does quality look like? How do we want to divvy up the work involved? What questions do we need to troubleshoot together, et cetera?
Hmm. Yeah, we have this exercise I bring and I need, and I think as we think, you and I both have high
Yes.
relators, so
Yeah,
we
that's a
come,
good one.
we do this, we get together and we both, I mean, we do this naturally, right, for each other.
Hmm.
But I think in some contexts, especially as you think about the manager and figuring this out from a team setting, it we may need to talk about what do I need. This is really
Hmm.
really important, right? And focusing in on those relators or non-relators in the team to be like, hey, here's what I really need. That's what they're saying. That's the relational aspect of this and listening to that.
Yeah.
So guys, what a powerful question. I mean, I bring is awesome, but I need is such a
So good.
powerful, I know, such a power. It's so easy. Like it's so easy to do. Sometimes when we put teams together, we get so focused on the doing and forget about
Mhm.
the needing, and
Mhm.
we do need things, right? So super for relators, asking that question should be a little easier in some regards, right? Of remembering it,
Yeah.
but a good point. Let's wrap it on this question. How can a manager with relators support the growth of each team member?
Well, this might come more naturally, but practicing that active listening in your one on one meetings with team members, encouraging them to share their thoughts, their concerns, their ideas related to development, and then offer support and empathy when or as needed. Um, I would say one element to relators, it's easy to want to acquire information about other people. Sometimes you can be a master deflector, though, and it's harder for you to give information about yourself, which can hold vulnerability. So maybe there's opportunities too to just be vulnerable in the moment or listen, or, as they're sharing a hardship, maybe there's even something, and you have to be careful not to make it, you focused, but you might have an example that you can even share to bring forth some relatability of, oh, I can see where you're coming from, or I understand you, or I remember when, I was at that point in time in your shoes, and I know how difficult it might be. And let's think about next steps. So I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff there, but we do recognize that relators are really good at wanting to invest in people. It can be harder to be vulnerable, but in those moments when you're talking about growth or development, or you're offering constructive feedback, you're probably going to be better with the successes. You might want to think about that too. What can I maybe share, so I'm creating more of that psychological safety for this individual to tell me what it is they're experiencing, or where they want to grow, or where they might be struggling.
I think well said. I think with that, well, before why don't you just wrap it up for us? Any final thoughts on Relator?
Yeah. So relators, you can create safety in the room through the intention and the just the time that you spend on individuals and in team settings. What we do know is you tend to work better one-on-one or in those smaller team meetings. That's where you tend to be at your best. And so, where are those opportunities to continue to just take 5 minutes with somebody, or take 5 minutes with your team and celebrate success, or ask what what support you can offer them? Thinking about stories, maybe it's a 2-minute spiel about what you want to share about yourself that helps build relationships with newer people. You might have new team members or a new manager that you're also co-working with. So that's always a best practice I try to suggest to people is, what are maybe 2 things or 2 sentences that you could share with somebody, so they can get to know you as much as you want to get to know them. That's going to help create that shared vulnerability and safe space in the room.
I think we'll wrap it on that. Well said, and lots of work to do in that area. I'm always super convicted when I come out of these sessions. I have so much work to do. I have so much work to do. So, Jaclynn, thanks for.
We're always a work in progress.
Thank you. Yes, we are indeed. Thank you for thanks for your partnership with me on this. This is a Relator exercise that we do, and I think is a great example of how it can work out. With that one, I want to remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have available inside of Gallup Access. Check it out, my.gallup.com, or you can just go to gallup.com, search on the click icon, put in Relator, not Realtor, but Relator, and you'll see the Relator theme that's in there, and you can see all the past podcasts that we've done that, plus other resources available for you for coaching, master coaching, or to become a Gallup certified strengths coach. We do that too. You can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. You'll want to join us for speaking of Relator. You'll want to join us together in person if you can make it for the 2024 Gallup at Work Summit. It's coming up quickly. We'll have in person, most fun, virtual, awesome, because we're going to lead the virtual stuff. So either way, awesome. Right?
Winning.
Either way. But don't miss it. Don't miss it. It's coming up here June 3rd, 4th, and 5th, gallupatwork.com. If you did miss it, maybe you're listening to this in July, chances are we have something else set up for you. So head out to gallupatwork.com, and we'd love to have you join us for whatever event we have here in the future. Stay up to date with all our future webcasts by joining our Facebook groups. You can find us on LinkedIn. Really find us on any social platform just by searching CliftonStrengths. If you've enjoyed it, hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss an episode, all that other good stuff, so that you're connected to us. And thanks for listening today. If you're listening live, we'll do a little bit of a post show. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.